It's no coincidence that you're here, exactly on this night, exactly in this window of hours before the full moon finishes rising. For about 3 days now, a silent unease has been living inside you, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. That nameless thing that tightens your chest in the most mundane moments, when you go to bed and sleep won't come. In the middle of an empty conversation, and you catch yourself staring into space. On the way to work, during lunch, when you open your phone without looking for anything specific and keep scrolling anyway. A feeling that something invisible is approaching. A thought that keeps coming back and you can't let go of. A strange urge to disappear for a while and come back different. You opened a video, closed a video, scrolled through 3, 4, 5 feeds of shallow content. And you stopped here. Here now with me. That wasn't an algorithm, that was resonance. And in the next few minutes you'll understand why 7 signs are lighting up inside you before this moon completes itself. What each one means, and why most people will feel these same signs and will chalk them up to stress, exhaustion, or a bad day. The window will close for those people. It doesn't have to close for you. There are 2 types of people before what I'm about to show you. The majority will feel all of this and will blame the traffic, the job, the relationship that didn't work out, Mercury retrograde, their upcoming period, the weather, the week's fatigue, anything external. This majority will let the moon pass and will remain exactly where they are, complaining about the same problems 3 months from now, 3 years from now, 3 decades from now. You don't belong to that group. If you did, you wouldn't have stopped at the exact minute of this video. You are part of the minority that has the internal infrastructure, enough silence, and the bare minimum of courage to recognize that you are facing a turning point. And a turning point doesn't ask for permission. It happens with you or in spite of you. The difference between these 2 phrases is the rest of your life. Let's start with the basics that almost no one understands. The hours leading up to the full moon aren't calendar decoration. They aren't spiritual aesthetics. They are a state, a threshold. And the ancient traditions knew this long before any app told you that today the moon is in Scorpio. The Andean shamans called the eve of the full moon the night when the soul rises to the surface of the skin. The Hebrew mystics taught that it is the moment when the internal files become legible. The European midwives said that children conceived or born on that night came with an extra map. This isn't social media folklore. It's inner engineering described in symbolic language. As the moon fills in the sky, something fills inside you. Emotions you've swept under the rug for weeks gain weight. Truths you pretended not to see gain a voice. What was hidden begins to rise without asking permission, without choosing the hour, and without respecting your schedule. It's your unconscious receiving an extra dose of light and being forced to show what it preferred to hide. And it's important that you understand something right now. A portal isn't a pretty phrase on a t-shirt. A portal is the exact point where the cost of remaining stuck in the life you have becomes greater than the terror of taking the next step. You take the step and then the ground appears, never before. And here already comes the first sign, the most uncomfortable of all, because it's the only one most people can perceive without needing spiritual language to explain it. A strange feeling of internal change. It's as if something inside you has started to shift. You wake up feeling heavy even though you slept fine. You get irritated by things that didn't bother you last week. You cry at a silly commercial. You look at people you love and feel a distance that wasn't there before. You look at your routine and feel a subtle nausea, as if your body is screaming at you to stop pretending. The people around you might say you're not okay, that you've been acting weird, that you should rest. And you try to believe them, because rest is an easier explanation to swallow than the truth. The truth is you're not sick, you're not depressed, you don't need a vacation. You are changing from the inside, and every real change begins with a discomfort that has no locatable cause. It's your old identity being forced to make room for the next version of you. It's your psyche preparing for a new phase. And the body understands this before the mind does. The body delivers the message in the form of restlessness. The mind takes days to decode it. On this full moon eve, the gap between the 2 shortens. That's why lots of people describe a feeling of about to explode without knowing why. It's not a breakdown. It's information wanting to become a decision. And it's exactly here that I need to tell you something, without beating around the bush, because if I left it for later, I'd be doing you a disservice. This discomfort you're feeling is not a symptom. It's information. It's your soul trying to speak. The problem isn't the moon. The problem is that most people never learn the language of this communication. They feel, but they don't translate. They perceive that something is changing, but they don't know where to start. They go through 3, 4, 7 lunar portals a year without turning any of them into a real decision. That's why I prepared the Magia M28 Exercicios as 28 Chaves do Despertar, a guided journey of exactly 28 days, one complete lunar cycle, made for people like you who feel different, lost or overwhelmed, and who want to stop repeating the same pattern every moon. Each exercise is a key. Each key opens an internal chamber that was locked. By the end of the cycle, your restlessness becomes language, your shadow becomes clarity, your signs become decision, and your awareness becomes practical direction. The access is in the first pinned comment right below. Go there now, before you scroll past and forget. And if you recognize that this message found you for a reason, comment down below the word Accordi. This works as an energetic marker of your commitment to this window. The second sign almost always comes after the first, and it's the one that confuses the rational mind the most. Memories of the past returning uninvited. You're driving, and out of nowhere you remember the face of someone you haven't seen in 10 years. You're in the shower, and the smell of soap brings back a house from your childhood you didn't even know you still remembered. You dream of an ex, of an old friend, of your grandfather who's already dead. You wake up with a phrase in your head that someone said to you 20 years ago. You open an old conversation on your phone just to look. You cry to a song you haven't heard since adolescence. This isn't coincidence, and it also isn't toxic longing. This is what Jungian therapists call unfinished material rising to consciousness. The full moon is like a magnet. It pulls to the surface whatever was left pending, whatever you didn't have time to feel, whatever you didn't have the maturity to process, whatever you preferred to leave suspended because life moved on. And if you understand this eve as a filing room opening up, you'll realize that every memory that returns is a question your soul is asking you. Have you forgiven that yet? Have you closed that cycle? Have you stopped being that person? Have you said goodbye to that place? If the answer is no, that memory will keep appearing, it won't give up. And each new moon will bring the same face, the same smell, the same sound, the same pain, until you decide to sit with it and resolve it. Closing a cycle isn't posting a self-help quote. Closing a cycle is an internal operation. It's recognizing, understanding, integrating, letting go. It's giving back to the past what belongs to the past and keeping only the lesson. That's what this eve is asking of you. And here the third sign couples with the second with almost clinical precision. More intense dreams, messages from the unconscious. You wake up in the middle of the night with your heart racing, not knowing what you dreamed. You have vivid, colorful, long, cinematic dreams. You dream of houses with many rooms you didn't know, of waters, of stairs, of dead people, of closed doors, of babies, of mirrors. You dream of yourself in a version you don't recognize. And you wake up with that strange feeling of, this means something. It does. Sleep, especially on the eve of a full moon, is the moment when the filter between conscious and unconscious thins. What is stored in the basement of your psyche can rise. And the unconscious doesn't speak Portuguese. It speaks in symbol. It shows you images, scenes, colors, sensations, and it's up to you to translate. An unfamiliar house with many rooms is almost always yourself, with internal areas you haven't visited yet. Water is always emotion, and its depth indicates the size of what's dammed up. Stairs going down are access to older layers of you. A baby is almost always a new project wanting to be born, or a version of yourself trying to be reborn. A dead person who appears may not be longing, but a request for closure. If you write down these dreams, even if just 3 words scribbled on your phone, you start to assemble a private dictionary. And that dictionary is gold. It's your soul writing directly to you without the noise of the day. Ignoring this is like receiving a handwritten letter from your future and throwing it away unopened. And if you're feeling these first 3 signs in cascade and don't know where to plant your feet, Magia M28 Exercicios is exactly that structure, step by step, practical, to transform each sign into real movement day after day throughout the entire cycle. It's not a course to listen to and forget, it's a protocol. Access in the first pinned comment. Go there before the moon is complete, because starting inside the window is different from starting outside it. Before I take you to the next block, a technical break that a lot of people ignore and later pay for it. If you are not subscribed to this channel, you will receive loose pieces. Each video here is a coordinate inside a larger map. The next videos show exactly what happens after this window, how to sustain the decisions you make now, how not to lose your axis when your body asks to pull back. Losing the sequence is losing context. Activate the bell. It's not YouTuber fuss. It's energetic logistics. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th signs appear in cascade, almost always together, as if they were choreographed. Synchronicities, distancings, new opportunities. You start seeing repeated numbers everywhere. On the clock, on the license plate of the car in front, on the bill amount, on the total of unread messages. You open a random book on the shelf and the page talks exactly about what you were thinking. Someone says a phrase you just wrote in your diary. You think of a person and they call you, remember a place, and an ad for it appears on your feed. And at the same time this happens, a part of your life begins silently to move away from you. An old friend stops replying and you realize you don't miss them. A work group starts to sound like noise. A bond that seemed solid starts to creak without argument, without a fight, without a reason, just a growing distance. This isn't coldness, this is debugging. It's your internal frequency changing and certain bonds no longer being able to anchor in who you were. And while some portals close, others begin to crack. An unexpected invitation. A contact you had lost reappears. A financial insight. A project idea you never dared to seriously consider. A stranger telling you a phrase that changes everything. A vacancy appearing. A city coming back to your radar. A person crossing your path and looking at you in a way you recognize without understanding. That's the map redrawing itself. And the mistake most people make is thinking this will become reality on its own. It won't. Synchronicity without action is just aesthetically interesting coincidence. Distancing without awareness turns into bitter loneliness. Opportunity without preparation becomes frustration. The eve of the full moon shows the points on the map. It's up to you to connect the lines with physical decisions, and we arrive at the 7th sign, the most silent and the most powerful. Intuition awakens before the full moon. And here I need to pull you out of romanticization. Intuition is not a mystical voice. It's not an angel whispering in your ear. Intuition is the accelerated processing of your psyche, summing data that your conscious mind can't organize in time. It's information traveling through internal shortcuts. And when the moon fills, these shortcuts become faster. You start to know things without apparent logic. You feel you need to call your mum and find out she was unwell. You give up going out on a specific night and later find out there was an accident on the route. You look at someone and know it won't work out, even if everything looks good on paper. You enter a place and your body says, leave. You meet a person and your chest says, this one. You open a proposal and your stomach closes before your mind understands why. That's your intuition operating with the broadband open. And the challenge is not to activate this. On this eve, it's already active. The challenge is to trust. Most people feel and disregard. They rationalize, ask for 10 people's opinions, make a spreadsheet, procrastinate. And when the inevitable decision arrives weeks later, it comes with double the cost, because intuition had already warned. Learning to listen and act the first time is one of the most profitable skills there is, in every sense of the word, and it is trained, it is sharpened, it is calibrated, especially in windows like this. Now the symbolic ritual to cross the eve of the full moon. And I need to warn you, this isn't going to look pretty on Instagram. No expensive crystals required, no imported incense, no Sanskrit word. The real ritual is made of 3 internal operations, and every single one demands brutal sincerity. The first is letting go. You're going to take a leaf, any leaf, and write down everything you already know needs to leave your life. Don't filter it. Don't gloss it over. Write the person's name, write the habit, write the repetitive thought, write the pattern. Write the version of yourself that has to die so the next one can be born. When you're done, read it out loud, and then burn it, tear it, bury it, flush it. Make a physical gesture of farewell. Without a physical gesture, your brain doesn't register the decision. It registers intention. Intention without a gesture is smoke. The second operation is writing intentions, and this is where most people screw up badly. Intention is not a request. It's not a wish list to the universe's Santa Claus. Intention is a declaration of direction. Don't write, "I want to earn more money." Write, "I commit to building an income that supports the life I want," and the first action starts tomorrow. Don't write, "I want to find love." Write, "I commit to being the person who attracts what I say I want," and that starts today by no longer accepting crumbs. Intention is a bridge. It's an internal contract. It's a promise on record. The third operation is the hardest. It's silence. 5, 10, 15 minutes of absolute silence. No phone, no music, no guided meditation app, nothing. Just you breathing, staring at the wall, letting the moon do its work in you. In that silence, what needs to come, comes, and what needs to leave, leaves. Don't force it. Don't sit there waiting for a movie-style revelation. Just be still. It's in the silence that the soul can finally speak without competing with the noise of the world. And this is exactly where I need to make you one last direct call. No beating around the bush, because the window is closing while you hear me. You have two choices. Close this video, think it was interesting, promise yourself you'll start someday, and let another moon pass without turning a sign into a decision. Or recognize that this night didn't come back by accident, that the 7 signs are lighting up inside you right now, and that you need a structure to move through this with clarity, instead of reacting with confusion. The magic in 28 exercises was built for this. 28 keys, 1 per day, from the beginning to the end of a full lunar cycle. Each key opens a chamber. Each chamber integrates a part of you. On day 28, you are not the same person who started on day 1. The link is in the first pinned comment. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Tomorrow is already past the window. So we arrive at the final revelation. And this is where most full moon videos lie to you. The moon does not change your destiny. It doesn't decide anything. It doesn't save you. It doesn't rescue you. It doesn't push you forward. The moon is a lantern, and a lantern doesn't choose where you go. It only illuminates what was already there. It illuminates the patterns you created, the decisions you put off, the truths you silenced, the signs you ignored, the inner voices you stifled. It illuminates the version of you that you know needs to be born, and it also illuminates the version of you that insists on not dying. And that's precisely why this eve hurts, because the light is the same for everyone, but what it shows is different for each person. We are not transformed by the moon. We are transformed by what we decide to do with what it showed. If you received these 7 signs and tomorrow you go on living the same life, you ignored the portal. If you received these 7 signs and used them as a turning point, you crossed the portal. It's that simple, painful, and simple. The soul never shouted too much. It was always speaking. The full moon just turned up the volume for a few hours. And the gift this eve gave you is the rare chance to listen without interference. Don't let it pass. And if you made it this far, comment below the word illuminated. This works as the seal of the moment you crossed this transmission. It marks it for you and marks it for others who are still to arrive. And this is where I stop talking. Because everything you've heard so far was preparation, the final revelation of what this means for your new life, what happens inside you in the 48 hours after the moon completes, and how to sustain all of this without falling back into the old cycle, is in the next video that has already appeared on your screen right now. Click on it. The first 60 seconds will change your timeline, and I'll wait for you there.